everybody, welcome back to another quick tip. This week we're going to talk a little bit about transitions here in Premiere Rush. To get started, all you need to do is go to this little lightning bolt up here, and this is Effects, and under Effects we have different transition options. Now, what a lot of people do is they will select a piece of footage. You can see it's selected because it's highlighted in gold here, and they'll select a transition. And this works fine if you need to put a transition on both sides of your video. You can see here that this is dissolving in and dissolving from one scene into the next. But with this, one thing you need to remember as you add these transitions in is you can add a transition in without adding it to both sides. Now, what I have seen people do is go in, add a transition to both sides, select one, you can see again it's highlighted in gold, hit the delete key and remove it, and then keep the second. But that's actually pretty slow and it takes more time than it should. So I'm going to delete this one out and show you that you can add it just to one side. So I'm going to take this wipe left, drag it down, I just click and drag, and now you can see there's no wipe over here, but there is this wipe right here that happens. So if we click and we drag, it allows us to add it to one side. The other thing that a lot of people notice up here is that there is this duration. And with that duration, I can slide that over and make that transition longer. So if I wanted this to be really slow, check this out. Ooh, it's really slow. I can slow that down. Now, another thing you can do in here is you can actually change the speed of it by using the actual transition itself. So if I click and drag on that gold, you can see here that I'm dragging down the time of that transition and making it shorter. The other thing that's really great about this is if you wanted that transition to be a little bit longer into one clip, you can drag it out over that clip. So watch this. You can see that it takes more time out of this footage than this footage, so you can always modify that. Again, if I decide I don't like that, I can always hit the delete key and remove it. Now I want to show you guys a really common error that I see when people first start making videos. So if I scrub my playhead over, and I'm just going to chop this footage into a couple of clips so you can see this. People will go in, and I see this all the time, they're like, ooh, I really like the slide up transition. So I'm going to pull that here, and I'm going to pull that here, and I'm going to pull that here. And then when we hit play, we can see that we have a slide up, and then a slide up, and it gets really repetitive. What we want to think about is how we break things up. If it's a situation where you have a lot of different types of clips and transitions, it's going to make it much more interesting. That being said, there's nothing wrong too with using a standard jump cut from one scene to the next. That works very effectively as well. Another common problem that I see is people tend to love dissolves. And so people will come in and throw a dissolve here, same kind of problem. Dissolve, dissolve, dissolve. I don't know why people love this transition, but you'll see that it's a dissolve, and it's not even working here because it's the same footage. It doesn't even really dissolve. But when you have that many dissolves next to each other, it tends to slow things down. The thing you have to remember with a dissolve is that it shows a passage of time. So whenever you put in a dissolve, think about it as day to night, outside to inside, or the next day. Speaking of dissolves though, there's another trick we can use with a dissolve. I'm going to go up here to my plus, I'm going to go to audio, and I'm going to choose a audio track and add that to my piece. Now with this audio track, if I scrub this back and hit play, it automatically comes in and it's very loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dissolve and drag it down onto that track. Hit play. You can hear it fade in. If I pull that over further, hit play. It eases you into the piece instead of slapping you in the face with a wall of sound. Additionally, if you have a track, you can see this goes on much too long. I'm going to click on that track, go over here to the edge, use my scissors, cut that in half. I'm going to delete what I don't need. I'm going to go back down, use that dissolve again. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to have this slide down at the same time. So check this out when I hit play now. it fades down as the transition is happening. So you can use this to time transitions to your audio track. It's a very helpful tip so your audio doesn't cut off harshly. Well, that's it for this week. Hope to see you again next week for another quick tip.